Hello. So this is week 7, and the topic that I want to share with you is overwhelm. Okay. And I want to offer, is it possible to make it work for us? And how to find our way back from overwhelm to the opposite side of the spectrum, to say finding a sense of balance and empowerment. Okay. So, what the heck is happening? That's my brain. When it feels confused, when it feels overwhelmed, when it feels caught off guard, or maybe it's rebelling against what it feels like is too much or what it considers maybe unnecessary, quote unquote, right? Um, whether it's that I'm stepping into a new experience that I feel requires more of me. So my brain, thinks it's a high risk. Maybe there is a risk of failure, right? Or the potential for loss is high. Okay. And these are just scenarios that I'm sharing with you about when my brain or our brain can feel overwhelmed. Another is maybe I'm learning something new that I haven't quite got just yet. And so my brain feels at a disadvantage. And that's why it might go into overwhelm. So I want to offer you to use the 4 steps when the next time you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, you know, remember to look, ask, pause, decide. Okay. So what happens is when we're in overwhelm, we might not realize it at first. All will that will happen, and possibly the first awareness that we are in overwhelm, right, is we will feel something first rather than notice exactly what is going on in our brain, right? And so let me share with you some of the things that happen with me when I am in overwhelm. So, and before becoming aware of it, of course, you know, I will realize, I'll find myself, I'll catch myself maybe thinking about a topic, trying to solve something, right? Maybe trying to, find a solution to figuring out maybe a problem that I have, or I'm overthinking and I'm just kind of just in a stuck in an overthinking loop, right? But that's not all. I might also um, find myself trying too many thoughts, right? Like I'll trying to figure this out, trying to think about this, trying to, how am I going to solve this? What's going on with this? And so my brain will feel kind of busy, flustered, too many things kind of going on. And, it's almost like even my eyes will be like looking and searching and trying to, with what's going on. But one of the other things that I've noticed is on, outside of my body, or at least, for me, outside of my brain, but in my body, I'll I'll suddenly realize that I have a feeling like a ache in the pit of my stomach, like sort of like I don't know if you've ever been in trouble. You kind of feel that feeling of, ooh, I'm in trouble. Something's going on. It's not a pain. It's a kind of like an ache, kind of like a unease, right? And so that's another sign that I've noticed. And then along with that, maybe there's a tightness here, a tightness here. Maybe I'll even feel a little nauseous. And so when I'm feeling this, usually like I don't, you don't usually have these symptoms all at once, right? Unless you're really sick. But if I'm not like I'm not really sick, I'm not, nothing, but nothing else is going on. But then I realize, oh wait, this is happening. I'm thinking about all of these things. I have this unease in my stomach, tightness, kind of like I need to run. Like I have this energy, but it's not a good energy because I feel like um kind of like the fight or flight feeling, right? And so then I'll realize, oh wait, okay. So this isn't I'm sick or anything. This I must be feeling some kind of overwhelm, right? And once I kind of bring that to the forefront, I kind of, okay, I'm aware. All right, okay, you know what? This is overwhelm. And the moment I say that, it's almost like I step out of myself and I'm kind of looking at that overwhelm, kind of like looking at it from the outside, like, because I'm aware of what's going on up here, right? But I'm not really aware what is it that exactly that's causing it. I'm just aware of what's going on because of what I notice, physically inside of my body, the thoughts, the kind of the loops going on in my head. And so then once I know that, then I'm like, okay, this must be overwhelmed. I must be overwhelmed about something. And so once I do that, then I've recognized it and I'm aware of it. And I'm kind of like now observing what's going on my body, what's going on in my brain. What am I, I can see the waves of thoughts going on, and I can feel the sensations in my body, right? And so then it's like I'm the observer. I'm observing myself, right? And that kind of gives me another perspective also, because now I'm not just living it, but I'm also observing it. And so that kind of, puts a little bit of a distance between me and what is going on up here. And then I'm, I try to see what is it that's causing all of this. Maybe, you know, asking myself, what am I thinking? What's going on? What is it? What is causing this? Maybe I can figure it out. Maybe there's something obvious. Because usually the overwhelm comes from, like I said before, I'm feeling confused. I'm caught off guard. Um, but it's usually a sentence or a thought, if you will, in my brain about something that I am telling myself about what is going on around me, right? So maybe I'm telling myself that I feel out of, there's something that I cannot control, right? Maybe there's something that's going on. And of course, we cannot control things that are going on outside of us. And maybe when I'm feeling this, I can usually pinpoint, oh, it could be because of this, if it's a new experience or something that's throwing me throwing me off my own track, right? I could say, well, it must be this, or it must be that, or it must be this thing that happened, or that's about to happen, tomorrow, right? Usually, like if we're going to take a test or something. And so, again, creating the awareness, looking at, becoming the observer, looking at what's going on, noticing what is going on in my body, sensations, emotions. Huh. Who hasn't stopped themselves and caught themselves and then just started crying, right? Sometimes we do that. Or worrying, over worrying about something, right? So those are other signs that you're kind of in overwhelm. And so again, it's always due to something, a sentence that's going on in our brain. And for the most part, it's about something that we cannot control. And so because we cannot control, we feel disempowered. And because we feel disempowered, that's what causes the unease, the physical, the mental, right? And then okay, so now we're in overwhelm. And so then this brings me to the is it possible to make the overwhelm work for you? And how could how is it possible? Could we do that? Right? Um, well, as the observer, it kind of gives you the advantage, I think, right? The advantage of looking at all that's going on, taking a note of it, learning to notice some of the goings on. I don't want to say symptoms. I don't want to label them as symptoms. I want to just say, oh, the goings on, because it could sh- reveal itself differently, for different people, right? Um, yeah, and so okay, so by becoming the observer, noticing, learning to catch the signs, you learn to give yourself the advantage of, okay, so now that I recognize that I am in overwhelm, let me, let me kind of look at what's going on. Let me kind of, um, as the observer, notice what is going on and start looking at what is going on in my brain and maybe ask some questions, right? If I'm able to notice exactly, like if I'm able to notice, oh, it must be because of this upcoming event, or it must be because of what I'm making, maybe somebody said something to me and at work, my family, family situation, right? And so again, you want to kind of look at become the observer and look at what's going on, and then kind of try to walk into to the brain and see what's going on in the brain. What is going on that I'm telling myself about my life, my the things going on in my life, right? And so if you're not able to, you can still ask the questions. Let's say you're not able to figure out what it is exactly. You can still ask the questions, and I'll tell you what these are. So you can ask, what is it? So right. So you can ask, what is it that I'm thinking? Right? What am I thinking about that's bringing me to feel overwhelmed? Right? Because it's always something we're thinking. And that's what's giving you this sensation, these emotions, these, things going on in your body. And you may want to ask, how does it serve me to think this thought, this sentence, right? How does it serve me? Does it help me? Is it serving me in any way? Right? Is it going to help you figure out maybe how to make a decision, right? Maybe. Or how about if you want to allow the whatever it is that's happening, you kind of just sit with it and say, okay, this is just a temporary thing, right? Because everything is temporary, I think, right? Especially when you're feeling these overwhelming, caused by a something that's going on in your life, right? And maybe you want to sit with it. So maybe you want to sit with, okay, now that I know that I'm overwhelmed, I I this is going to pass, right? And kind of sit with it and say, okay, so I am overwhelmed. I admit that I'm overwhelmed. And I'm trying to figure out what the sentence is. What is it um that I'm telling myself about something going on in my life that is taking me to feel out of, not in control, in confusion, um, feeling maybe even disoriented, right? And you want to just continue asking, what is going on? What am I thinking? What's going on in my brain? And so using the awareness can give you the advantage of, again, recognizing what's going on. Once you recognize that, oh, okay, maybe it's because of this. And these things that are happening that I feel, the knot in, the sensation in the pit of my stomach, the tightness, the feeling of, oh my God, I gotta run. I feel confused. Maybe there's something, um, a feeling of fear, maybe even sometimes. So once you learn to recognize that, okay, sit with it. Maybe ask the questions, how can this be useful? Maybe this is here to teach me something, right? And then give yourself a pause. Because it's not, I mean, I don't think this is going to kill you. Just feeling overwhelmed, unless you're doing, which I hope not, um, unless you're not working towards creating the awareness for yourself about, oh, this is what this is. This is, recognizing the symptoms, recognizing the sensations that this is overwhelm. Um, I don't think that you're going to be putting yourself in, well, again, I hope not, that you're not going to be putting yourself in any kind of danger with this overwhelm, right? Because again, by creating the awareness, you're allowing yourself, sort of empowering yourself to um, knowing what it is, knowing what's going on. And then you have the advantage by asking, could this serve me? Could I learn something? Maybe I need to learn patience. Maybe I need to learn to let go. Or maybe I just need to be curious with it, right? Why am I thinking this? Why am I feeling overwhelmed? Why am I feeling confused? Why do I feel caught off guard? Or, like I have no power over this. Like it's not within my control, right? Why do I need for it to be in my control? And so by asking these questions, being curious, staying curious, this gives you some advantage, right? And then as it's been in my experience, once I go through this process, I realize, oh wait, I don't feel so overwhelmed anymore because I'm able to sit with it, allow it, I don't feel afraid of it itself either. And so I'm sitting with it, I'm allowing it, I'm letting it kind of stay with me for a moment to see what, what I can learn from it, what could come, you know? And then it's as it's been in my experience, I realize, oh wait, after some time, I don't feel so overwhelmed anymore, right? Whether I was able to figure out exactly what was going through my brain, whether I was able to understand all of the all of the sensations in my body, because it takes practice, right? It takes practice to become aware. It takes practice to understand, uh, the jitteriness. I feel jittery, right? I feel jittery. I feel kind of all over my brain, all over my head. I got so many thoughts, trying to figure things out, too many thoughts, kind of like you're trying to think of more than one thought at the same time, right? Or trying to resolve things, trying to find a solution for things um, in your brain, kind of like when you're trying to sleep, but you keep thinking about all the things that you need to solve during the day at work or at home, and they keep you up instead, right? So again, giving yourself the advantage, becoming aware, learning to understand what the sensations are, and recognizing usually they'll be the same type, because we all have a tendency to respond, to react sort of in the same way when we're in a state of fear, of indecision, of confusion, of again, being caught off guard, or feeling disempowered. We kind of all have our same similar way of um, creating the sensations in our body, in our minds too. And so, and again, this is just based on my own experience. Um, and so, again, you giving yourself the advantage of becoming the observer. You're looking, you're asking, you're pausing, right? Sitting with it if to allow it. And then you're deciding, right? What can this teach me? What can I learn from this? How can this benefit for me? Um, and it's all up to you. It's all within your um how do I say this? It's all within your agency, right? You get to decide. And so you're kind of bringing some of that power back to you. Okay. So again, that is the topic that I wanted to share with you, overwhelm, because it's one of those that creeps up on us. Um, again, in creating the awareness of making goals, of declaring resolutions, right? Our main topic. Jumpstart your resolutions and goal setting mindset. So we're creating the awareness in order to create the mindset, preparing the mind, and learning to recognize when we're in overwhelm. Because if you're endeavoring in a new goal, if you're endeavoring in a resolution about something that you want to accomplish, something that you desire to achieve, right? And as with any new thing, we can find ourselves in overwhelm. And so this is one of some of the some um, offerings that I want to give you about how to make it work for you, how to be recognize when you are in overwhelm. Um, it does pass, right? Because one moment you might be feeling overwhelmed, and the next moment, for for some external reason or some internal learning, you suddenly are, you're no longer feeling overwhelmed, right? And it's kind of just, if you notice, it's just our minds. It's all because of what we're making, what's going on around us mean, what we're thinking about what's going on around us, right? And so it's all just part of awareness. Okay. So that's it for today. I hope you find, um, this gives you some clarity, something to think about, something to consider as part of your journey when you're on your way to, achieving a goal. That overwhelm is part of it. Overwhelm is part of life sometimes, right? And but if you learn how to recognize when it's there, when you are there, you give yourself the advantage. That's all I want to offer you. Okay? So thank you for listening. Again, I hope you find this useful, practical, and that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much. Bye bye.